so terrible.
Baby Brent do 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 baby Brent do 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 baby Brent do 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 baby Brent. Huh? You watch Baby Shark, Brent? You a Baby Shark fan?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Baby, what is it? Baby Brent. You ever heard Baby Shark? Baby
I don't think
Shark
so.
do 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 do. And then there's Mama Shark do 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 do. So Brent doesn't have kids, folks. Brent does not have kids.
I don't. It's like, so what is this? This is like it's obviously a kid's show.
Yeah, it's great. Honestly, it saves your life. Like whenever you need it, you bust out Baby Shark, and the kid's like, yeah, all right, I know Baby Shark. Do 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 do, Baby Shark. Do 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 do. And then you do Daddy Shark.
Yeah.
You know, Daddy Shark, and then you do this is Mama Shark.
Oh wait. So it's not a show. It's just you doing that with your hands.
Well, it's a show. It's kind of like a YouTube video. It's not kind of like, it's a YouTube video where there's like actions and stuff. But the funny part, this is actually the funny part. Okay? So this is Mama Shark and this is Dada Shark, right? Because bigger.
Right.
But then you do Grandma Shark, and she's got like dentures.
No.
So, yeah, that's the mood. And then the Grandpa Shark is the big. Yeah.
So wait, this is not when you said that, I imagined animation, not somebody doing it with their hands.
Yeah, it's all animation, and then they've got some kids doing the actions with the shark animation. So it's a combination. Yeah. Hey, what do you think? Now that we're beyond that, what do you think? What do you think of the light show? Huh?
It's great.
What do you think of the light show back here?
I like the blue. Can you go back to the blue?
You do the blue one?
Yeah.
Hold on, that's blue already. I got two. I had to get two, so I got two remotes.
Now what?
There you go.
Look at that.
That's ultimate blue.
That's cool. I like that. That's my personal preference.
On the blue wall,
That's just me.
I was trying to get the blue wall some separation by adding some color, but I'm just adding some blue.
No, but it's like now it's electric blue.
That's electric blue.
It's like a club.
All right, I had a bit of a technical glitch. Sometimes I forget to switch to the right microphone, and I just switched to the right one there, which is why that intro sounded a lot more airy and quiet than it does right now.
Wow.
So
now you sound like a velvet fireplace. So smooth and warm. So
all right. Yeah. What are we doing tonight?
We're doing a Halloween-y type record. It's Meat Loaf Out of Hell.
It's definitely got that. It's got the undertone. It's got the Halloween-y undertone, especially the album cover.
Oh, I was going to say it's got quite the Halloween-y type cover for sure. I'm very curious to hear. That's
See, that's why I'm like, did he give me this? Because like this whole Supertramp, the way Supertramp went completely, wrong
good.
turn. And now if I like Meatloaf, it's like, well, how did you not? Are you setting me up?
No.
Is this a setup, Brent?
No, and I'm going to explain. So that was the first album. So here's how I look at all these records. I have like probably about, when we started the show, they were all in my head. But now I have a list of probably about 17 or 18 of these in my head right now. Mm. And how I come about those is to think about the years. So during the late 70s, there was a lot of music out there. And there's a lot of like classic records, a lot of good music, right? Supertramp was one of those records. We've been through a bunch of them already, but there are a bunch that remain that are on my kind of mental list here that we're going to get to eventually. But when we talked about Supertramp, I kind of naturally just went to Bat Out of Hell next. And it was in there, and I thought it might be a decent segue. It had nothing to do with your impression of Supertramp.
Good. Okay. No, cool. No, I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure it was a setup. I thought it was like, oh, wow.
What would the setup be?
I don't know. Like you're just trying to be like, well, how do you like Supertramp, or how do you like Meatloaf, but you don't like Supertramp? I'm giving myself away here.
Oh,
but how would that like?
No, I would never do that.
None of that. All right.
No.
You were never a bully in school. You're a good man. You're a good man, Brent. You're a good man. This album is epic.
Oh,
this is an epic.
Wow, good.
Epic
good
album.
For you.
Like that's the one word, usually I start my reviews, if you want to call them reviews, with, no knows. All just one word, epic.
Really?
Just an absolute epic album.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So for
7 tracks, 47 minutes of just...
Really?
Wow.
No clunkers for you?
Well, it all works,
Okay.
I think. However, we can talk about maybe the less song.
Okay. For me, and again, keeping in mind, because I have introduced records like The Cult, for example, that I didn't, I like that record, but I see it for what it is, right?
Right.
I'm not giving you records that I love, like all the time. Okay. I love a lot of these records, and I don't bring records on the show that I despise. That's never going to happen, because there's no point in doing that. But I don't love all of these. The reason why I bring these is because I feel like they're important to kind of present to you in the spirit of what we're doing here, right? And that is kind of expanding your knowledge of, classic rock kind of as we understand it.
100%.
Right? So
yeah, I get that.
I don't want you or our viewers to have any kind of illusions of like, why does he bring on records he doesn't like, or do you know what I mean? So it's beyond what I kind of care or what I think of the record. Like it's I feel like this is important to kind of introduce to you, so that again your knowledge is expanded and you kind of get to see the full kind of view of the landscape. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the point.
Totally. Well, consider my mind expanded thanks to this album. Okay.
So for me, and we'll go through the songs, not my favorite record. I mean, I recognize it as a classic. For me, quite honestly, a little bloated in places, a little hammy, a little overwrought.
Totally.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
That's the whole theater background of this, the players and the creators of this album. Like,
certainly it is.
Straight up theater students, theater players, theater performers creating a rock and roll album, essentially.
Absolutely it is. That's exactly what it is. And they got hammered for that, Alex. So what you just said, Jim Steinman was the kind of the architect of this record. He's like he's a songwriter, but he writes songs for Broadway and that sort of thing for theater productions. Meat Loaf was a guy named Martin Aday. That was his real name. And he was a stage performer. He sang on stage, but he was not a musician. He was a theater performer. And so when they decided to put this record together, and I'll take you through the history in a second, but they introduced it to record labels, and they all passed. Everyone thought the record sucked. They hated it. And one person that especially hated it was a guy named Clive Davis, who we know. And Clive Davis roasted these guys. He said, listen, like, actors don't sing, first of all. Actors do not sing rock records. So, like, off you go, Meat Loaf. And then he looked at Steinman and said, do you know anything about rock and roll? Rock and roll songs are written like this, like A, A, C, A, B. And he said, you're writing like F, C, B, G. You're all over the place. You know nothing about rock and roll. So what I recommend that you do is when you leave here, you go to a record store and you start increasing your knowledge of rock and roll, because you know nothing about rock and roll. And Steinman laughed it off. And then Meat Loaf told him to, like, shove it, and they had a bit of a thing. Yeah. And then they were escorted out.
Wow.
Yeah. But then they eventually got picked up, obviously. And this record sold 43 million copies.
Jeez.
Can you believe that?
I thought for sure Clive Davis was kind of like the guy that was, I don't know. He seemed, I was a fan of Clive until I heard him until you told me that story.
Me too. He had great years, but he missed a couple. This being one of them. And on this record, I mean, there's some, the playing is extraordinary. Like, it's really, really good. there's some really nice arrangements and really nice melodies, and we'll go through the songs. There's some beautiful moments on this album. I just feel like a lot of it is very theatrical, understandably. It's a little bit kind of postured, and it's a little bit hammy.
You know, I was kind of sorry if you can hear my kid crying. I thought playing him Supertramp's Breakfast in America would put him to sleep, but didn't work.
You know why he's crying, Alex?
Because he was listening to Supertramp's Breakfast in America?
No, because he was listening to that bloody Cookie Monster death metal that you played him a little while ago. See? Karma.
No way, man. No way. Supertramp.
What was the name of that band again? Children of Bottom?
Children of Bodom, but that's not who they're listening to yet. Okay?
Who was that band you were playing for?
In Flames.
That's it.
In Flames. Okay?
Right. Now it's in jail. You're going to be in jail. Children's Aid. All right. Make your point. I'm sorry.
It's fine. There's the joke. I'm just going to try and get into this, but I am very distracted. I kind of came up on sort of the theater stuff. My dad's big into the theater production. So hearing theater plays and music and songs was sort of, I was familiar with it. We went to go see stage plays, and they still do go. They really like it, and that's great.
Yep.
I've not really been too into like the theatrical musical side of things. So, but I feel like when I am, and the things that I enjoy, the songs I enjoy, the production numbers that I enjoy, are all in the vein of like every song on this album. Like those are the songs, the types of songs. These songs, if like you took a greatest hits from all of the musicals, right, and you put them in, and all the songs that I actually enjoyed from the musicals would make up a Meatloaf album.
That's
I don't
interesting.
know if that makes much sense.
It makes perfect sense.
This is like all the best on one album from every single musical.
That's really interesting. That's great insight for me.
It's a cool story too, right? Because I mean, didn't Steinman, I guess Meatloaf, he was actually on like the audition list as Meatloaf, and people would call him Meat. You said his name. What was his name again?
Martin Aday, Aday. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people just call him Meat, like, which was
I don't know where that came from. I'm not sure. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Stage name, I guess, and that's what he went and auditioned for. And then I guess him and Steinman just really hit it off, and Steinman really felt like he could write a lot of music that he could sing to, and that's obviously the case.
How it came about, I think that Steinman had written something called The Dream Machine, or it was a musical that evolved into something else called Neverland, I think. And they were touring that, I want to say. And then there was 3 songs that had been written for it. And those 3 songs were Batter to Hell, All Revved Up and No Place to Go, and Heaven Can Wait, I think. And they both said, you know what, these songs are exceptional, so maybe we should like try to make a record out of it. And they got really into these 3 songs. And then they wrote other songs to support these 3 songs as a nucleus. And that's where Battered of Hell came from. That's where the impetus for this record came from, was that idea. And it's funny because Jim Steinman, again, was a songwriter, right? And Meatloaf was a theater performer, stage performer, not truly a singer, but they thought they could pull it off together, right? And it didn't really work out at the beginning, but it did eventually. When it came time for the record to come out, Steinman wanted credit. But the record company said, we want this to be billed as Meatloaf, make it look like a band, right? So it says Meatloaf, Batter to Hell. Steinman said, I want this to be called like Meat and Jim. And they were like, no, you can't do that. And then he said, okay, well, how about Jim Steinman Presents? And they said, no, it flies in the face of like this kind of being a rock record. And that's what it's supposed to be. So Jim Steinman will give you credit, but just get out of the way, right? He didn't like that. And then eventually later, on, what did he do? I think he trademarked Meat Loaf Better to Hell or something like that. And then he prevented, it was really weird. And then like there was a fight between them and they had this kind of tension and they went back and forth because you get the trademark and then Meat Loaf canceled it or something like that. But so the compromise eventually was, and you see this now on Spotify, it will say Meat Loaf, I think with Jim Steinman or something like that. So Steinman's name is on there somewhere on the record cover now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very strange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's interesting to hear that because I was just reading something as well that said they got paid almost like pennies by Sony. Like they didn't get paid very much in terms of royalties. I don't know if it was right off the beginning, but I guess they tried to re-release it, and Meatloaf and Jim Steinman basically said, "Don't buy this album.
Oh,
we're not getting anything.
I didn't know that.
This is just a money grab from the major record label to, make more money."
Wasn't it
but
Epic?
I guess it says
I thought it was a subsidiary of Epic Cleveland or something like that who picked up the record.
Yeah, Cleveland, and then because Todd Rundgren produced it on his label, and that was a subsidiary of Warner.
Oh,
and then Warner wanted nothing to do with it.
Oh, I thought
and
it was
then that's
records.
when. Yeah. We'll clear that up in the factoids below.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. Yeah. Read below. But there's it's kind of crazy. The whole thing is that nobody wanted this album.
No.
Nobody wanted this. What was it? 77?
77 was came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody wanted it. And it's interesting with the Queens out there too, right? Just not, I guess this is one band, but
well, it's kind of funny because, in amongst the Who, Springsteen,
right.
Styx,
big Springsteen vibes here.
Oh, huge. And you know what? Actually, as a matter of fact, that's why Rundgren produced this record, was because he thought that this was a Springsteen parody. And he said, this is so weird that I have to have my name on this somewhere because I think this is like a joke record or something. And the joke kind of was that Meatloaf had, I think, Jimmy Iovine in the producer's chair. And then he said, no, I want my hero, Todd Rundgren, to produce this record. And Rundgren heard it and he's like, is this some kind of like Springsteen joke?
Wow.
Like I want to, this is kind of funny. He thought the album was funny.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so another interesting thing is that two of the E Street Band members play on this. So Max Weinberg plays drums on this. And I think Roy Batan is the other guy who plays on this record from Springsteen's band. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all kinds of
people. They
all
really believed in this album. Like the whole band, everybody really believed in this record.
Yeah.
Despite the time and, being laughed at, they were really all in on this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Huge, like you say, huge Springsteen vibes. But I think that's the problem. I was talking earlier about the bloated kind of posturing and stuff like that. I think for me, when you hear Born to Run, I expect to hear, closer to Born to Run. And when I hear Battle to Hell, I hear Born to Run without the kind of gritty, kind of authentic rock isms. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And that's where
it's a theater version. It's a theater version of Springsteen. It's Springsteen meets ABBA, essentially.
I almost feel like you have to listen to it in that context.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's a lot of what I enjoyed about it. Was the bit of the Springsteen vibe, and also just it's like every experience you've ever experienced as a teenager in all of these songs, and even when it gets to Paradise by the Dashboard Light, I think it was Rundgren that said, Steinman wrote this, but could you ever picture Steinman in that situation? And if you see Jim Steinman, your answer is no. But he's like, I don't think, that's just Steinman's imagination, and that's what I feel like all of these songs are made up from. It's just his I mean, obviously it's from every songwriter's imagination, but these feel like real moments in life that he wish he experienced in all of these songs.
It's a reproduction of teenage angst situations, you know? And I think that that's what he did as a theater production specialist, right? He came up with these kind of conjured ideas, and they were about like Springsteen again, like rebellion, you know, the protagonist winning in the end, and like, you know, heartbreak and all that stuff. That was what Steinman was doing here. It's interesting that you touched on that, because this album came out in 1977. I was 8. But it had this resurgence when I was in high school. The crowd that I used to like go to parties, you know, with, listen to this. They were older than me, but they liked this record. And so it's funny because the melodies on, say, like Batter to Hell, you know, that keep on rolling back to you, like that very kind of that it's very kind of like emotional, right? And it's extremely well written. And I used to actually model my relationships after that. Like I would kind of see my relationships through the prism of some of the songs on this record.
That's a surefire way of destroying your relationships.
Well, it's kind of funny because that's what you do when you're a kid. And going back to the teenage angst, right? Everybody wants to relate. You love the music that you do because you see yourself in it. You love the art you do because you see yourself in it. And so you hear songs on the radio and you're like, oh my God, that's what I'm doing right now. You know what I mean? Me. Oh my God, the song's about me. And so you project yourself on this, and I projected myself on, you know, some of these songs. And that's what music really does. It kind of like lifts you up and kind of floats you across situations that you're in, especially when you're a kid. You look for guidance. You know,
and when you think about the production and again the theatrical just life of this album, I mean, there's nothing probably that seems bigger as a kid either. If you're hearing this, you know, at 8, 9, 10.
Oh God, yeah,
you know, it's huge.
The very first time I heard this I was probably about 10 or 11, and it was big. Like it had a big vibe about it, you know. And I heard the record, and it was like sonically massive. But then I remember seeing the cover and going, "Holy shit! This is almost like borderline scary." You know, it's hell, and there's a guy blasting off on a motorbike, and there's a big scary monster in the background. Whatever. When you're a kid, you're like, "Jesus, what is this?" Right?
That cover is very, very much. It's essentially a picture representing the title track and the opening track of the song, Bat Out of Hell, which I don't know how many people actually knew the song was about a motorcycle crash, because I didn't.
You really have to listen to the lyrics, right? I didn't realize it either, because again, I got hooked on that melody, that rolling on back to you bit that ends the song too, right? So I didn't know that it was about him crashing his motorbike till much later.
Yeah, and I never saw a sudden curve until it was way too late, and now I'm laying at the bottom of a burning pit. And it's funny because like that's like the last verse, right? It's the last portion of the song, and everything leading up to that is just the classic. Again, it's all about teenage love, and then wanting to ride his motorcycle. But I guess they said at one point, Steinman, so he wanted to write, right? He wanted to write this amazing car crash song. Yes. That was what he set out to do, was write one of the most brutal car crash songs ever. And, you know, the last thing he saw was his heart still beating, you know, out of his body. So if you picture that, it's pretty brutal. And I guess at one point, Meatloaf and the other singers were like, you got to finish this song. He's like, I haven't even gotten to the car crash. So like 2 verses in, it's over. Like it's done. And he's like, no, like I got to get to the car crash. So I guess they were expecting it to be, you know, 4.5, 5 minutes. It ends up nearly 10 minutes long. And
again, it's kind of needlessly long for me. But again, I have to kind of entertain the fact that like it's written for theatrical purpose, right?
It's fun. It's fun all the way through. Rundgren makes the motorcycle noise with his guitar.
That's right.
It's all really cool. Really cool stuff they did throughout this.
Yeah.
Throughout this album.
Yeah, it is cool. I mean, again, there's some gems on this. There's a couple clunkers, but there are some real gems on this record.
Yeah.
What's the next song? You took the words right out of my mouth.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
You like that song?
I do. I love the opening dialogue between the two.
That's Steinman, actually. Yeah. And,
it is.
And some
Steinman.
actress, I don't remember her name, McCann, I think her last name was. But yeah, Steinman is the male character there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
It's just...
Right?
It is. Yeah, totally, man. I love it. I love this sort of introduction to, again, it's like, I bet that's what you say to all the boys.
Yeah, that's kind of
funny. It's like, how many, you've encountered that girl that you've all could encountered that girl or that guy, that boy, right? Yeah. Right. Well, at the time of, anyways, this album. Yeah, I don't know. I love this. I love the song again. Just good melodies, and I can't stop singing. But you took the words right out of my mouth.
There you go. Yeah. No, I like it. I like the song. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I like it. I'm glad that we're having this conversation because this is almost a remedy for me, because I couldn't figure out for years why I didn't love this record when I loved Born to Run and similar records. But I couldn't figure it out. And this is why. There's a theatrical bent that I just can't get past, and it stiffens the music for me. That's what it is.
You know what? They could have broken it up a little bit. I think the thing with Springsteen, right, is you've said is light and shade, right? You get some of those big songs, and then you get some of those low, those slower songs. Mm-hmm. Sure, there's Heaven Can Wait and For Crying Out Loud, but there's still theater to it, right? There's still something theatrical to it, and that's the essence of Meatloaf, but maybe that's it too. I don't know, we try and figure this out, or why I'm trying to figure it out, but I just think that there's a lot, like you're just kind of always going with theater music.
Yes.
There's no real time to like kind of break. It's always big. It's always like,
right.
No matter if it's a slow song or not.
That's right. Yeah. And a distant cousin of that kind of idea is Pink Floyd, right? Dark Side of the Moon. We talked about that, how there's no rest. Yep. There's you continue on, you keep going. And that's why it's compelling, because there's no time for you to regroup and think. Like, it's like, wow, now what? Yeah.
I think there are times in this album for that, but I think that if you're, again, it's a theatrically done, even this song, for example, it's big verses. And then the chorus slows things down, gives you, it's a very sort of intimate moment in the song, and that's when they kind of do those things. But I don't think you ever get out of this like heart racing theatrical exuberance of each of these songs or anything in these songs. So yeah, theater.
Heaven Can Wait, I used to think was a clunker until I listened to it a couple more times. There's a really nice change at the end of the verses where I like songs that go in unexpected places. We've talked about this before, and you're a musician as well. So, when the song is going to go to D, unfortunately. That's an unfortunate thing, right? Because it kind of lessens the excitement of the music that you're experiencing. But when it goes to like an F sharp, it's like, oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. That's kind of fun, right? And so this does that. Heaven Can Wait does that. There's a change, I think, at the end of every verse where it kind of goes to like a different. It's a nice little arrangement that makes the song cool. Unfortunately, the rest of it for me is a bit clunky, but yeah. Again, it's a theatrical thing.
It's about being in the moment. Brent, be in the moment, being in the moment. Heaven Can Wait, I'm here right now. This is it. That's what I love. This moment right here. Everything else, yeah. That's what I think I love about this too, though. I get it. The chord changes are theatrical. They're theatrical chord changes. Like they're like dun dun dun.
Yes.
Dun, right, as opposed to like G to D. It's like G sharp D sharp. Whatever those notes would be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of cool that they take advantage of those types of chords and those chord changes, and they've taken that and kind of tried to mainstream it, rock and roll it. They did. And yeah, it takes a little bit of getting used to, because it's not all hard, heavy guitar, drums and things like that.
Oh, good God. A lot of it's not. A lot of it's piano.
It is.
Yeah.
That's it, man. It's time. He's killer on this thing. Like, I'm thinking, like, how do you learn how to do that? Yeah. Again, I know there's a lot of people you can say that about. And I mentioned Billy Preston before, and, it's just, who's Doors piano player? Manzarek, right? I mean, like, you listen to those guys playing, like, how do you learn how to, combine those chords, know the this and that and the notes and there's so many notes on a piano.
The next song is probably, in my estimation, one of the best on the record, if not. Yeah, all wrapped up, no place to go. That's really well written song.
It's great.
Yeah,
fantastic. Everything about it, nothing wrong.
It's super catchy. It's got a great chorus. It's tight. There's no, there's a little bit of waste of time when they talk about drawing blood and stuff like that. Again, see, it's just tidy that stuff up.
You know what? I mean? I think Rundgren did that. I think there were times, and I think Paradise by the Dashboard Light, they did that a lot. There were times where they wanted to say this stuff back and forth a whole lot more, and Rundgren was like, why are you saying that so much? And they're like, well, it's because of this. So they really came at it from the theater production to a lot of these songs, and they're like, well, it's got to be like this and it's got to be like that, and he was like, trim it back. So you say that they could have trimmed it back more, and it was like, I think it actually has been trimmed back from.
Can you imagine hearing like the rough demos for these songs, like 20 minutes long each,
Oh, easy.
That just like go on and on and on, because they do meander. Yeah. There's a lot of meandering in a lot of these songs. You're just like, cut that, like, close that window, man.
Yeah, I just think it's so, like, I hear you, but I love it. I think there's just something so differently played. The way that it's like, it's not just, we talk about "Light My Fire" by the Doors, right? Mm-hmm. It's like it just kind of keeps going. The keys, everything just kind of keeps going with that song.
Yes,
I understand feeling that way with this. I didn't feel that way with this. I felt like it was so different. There was just a lot happening. Mm-hmm. What he does with the keys and where things go. It was kind of like all part of the feeling, the story, the imagery. So I never felt that way. But again, I do understand why you would feel that way. You could feel that way. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Wow, what a tune! What?
There's a cool story behind this song.
Okay.
So I can't remember the actress's name. Her first name was Mimi. I don't remember the rest of her surname. But she was a friend of Steinman's, and Steinman was talking to her one night, and he was complaining and saying, I'm going to these record companies and none of them wants my music, and Clive Davis is giving me shit about, like, I can't write songs. And she said, I know that you can, but the problem is that you're too complex. You write these big epics, so why don't you just write a simple song? And he said, like what? And she said, like that Elvis Presley song, I want you, I need you, I love you. Very simple song, right? And then he kind of thought, I could do that. And she said, can you? And he said, yeah. And she said, go and do it then. And so it was a challenge. So he went away, and the chorus is, I want you, I need you, I love you, right? He took that and wrote a song around it and tried to make it as simple as he could. And that's where 2 out of 3 ain't bad comes from.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. So he proved her. Well, I mean, he succeeded in her challenge, right? But I think it's a fantastic song. I really like it.
Yeah, I love the song. It's like the Rain. Was it the Rain Song story? Or was it George Harrison challenging Jimmy Page to go and write a a ballad or a
proper
slow
ballad.
song.
Yeah.
It's pretty devastating though, you know. But there ain't no way I'm ever gonna love you.
And again, and don't be sad, right? So it's like, and again, Alex, you transpose your youth and those, when you're a kid, everything is so dramatic and so romanticized, right? You have no mortgage, you have no kids, you have no job. Everything is about like your obsessions, music, sports, the opposite sex, right? And it's like, oh my God, like I would die for her, or like whatever it is, right? Like and there's these overblown emotional reactions to things. And it's like you transpose your life on these lyrics, like, you know, and I remember doing the same thing. So like, you know, I like you, but I don't love you. Don't be sad, right? And like, how many times has that happened between, you know, males and females or you know, partners, as it were, saying, I'm breaking up with you, but don't cry, right? And it's like, oh my God, like it's so kind of guttural, right? And it makes you want to cry. So there's a power in that, certainly.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. Like I don't know. I haven't felt that obviously in a very long time, but you know, if you can go back and think about that, like when you go through those moments, like that is just, it is devastating. Even if you have mortgages and stuff like that, when you think about something coming to an end, you know, and to be able to sing about it like this, the way that they do, and the music that accompanies it.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good heartbreak song.
It is, for sure. It truly is. There is, I'll lighten it up a little bit because there's kind of a funny fact about this song that I always thought was really funny. So,
all right, yeah, lighten it up.
On the Meatloaf Batter to Hell Japan release. So if you go to Japan and you pick up this record, the translation, everything's in Japanese, right? But the translation of 2 to 3 Ain't Bad, the song title, if you read it, if you picked up the album, you could speak Japanese, you look at it, it translates into 66% seduction. Not 2 to 3 Ain't Bad. That's how it reads.
Come on.
Imagine. So people are saying, oh, you know, that song, I love it. 66% seduction.
That is good.
It's funny.
That's good. I thought it was going to be a different translation from Cracker Jack Box because they didn't have Cracker Jacks in Japan or something like that.
No. Yeah.
I mean, what do you say about the next one? Paradise by the Dashboard Lights.
Wow. Right? Wow.
Right? I didn't really understand why
I was thinking, like, when I was listening to this record, who doesn't know this song?
And love it every time it comes on. I'm sorry, you cannot listen to this song enough. Come at me, bro. This song can come on. This is not like a wedding song where you're like, of course. But no, when they play this at a wedding, okay, you get up and you go crazy with everybody.
That's right. And that goofy guitar lick at the beginning, do 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 do, like it's so goofy.
You know, it's like the dude jumping in his car. He's ready. You know, he's ready. It's like, we're doing this tonight. You know, it's
almost creepy. Have you listened to the lyrics like closely?
Well, I
don't know. It's just
I thought I did. Very, like I sing it every time it comes on. So I mean, it doesn't leave a lot to the imagination, and it's almost a little bit like predatory. It's like, this guy's like, we're doing this. Well, yeah, I mean, same with All Revved Up and No Place to Go. What was it, that one? Yeah, All Revved Up and No Place to Go.
Well, and the next song after this there's a lyric, and I'll say what it is when we talk about the song. But like Jim Steinman said, it's the riskiest lyric on the record, and it's kind of
okay.
I always, it doesn't fit in the song, and I almost feel like he put it in there just to kind of get attention because it's kind of goofy. Anyway, we'll get to that.
I never figured this song to be creepy. I just figured it to be fun. It was kind of like, I don't know, you know, it's like, oh man, you're going out with the hot chick, You going out with the,
Yeah.
going out with her?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I'm going out with her. It's like, let's doing it. Yeah.
That's right.
That's what it was all about.
That's right. In the back of a car.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing this as a kid going like, well, I knew exactly what it was about. I was like, whoa, like what's going to happen here? And I always thought it was kind of clever that they used that announcer, right? And that was a guy, what was his bloody name? Phil Rizzuto.
Are you talking about when they broke into the baseball play-by-play?
Yeah.
I never got that. Never understood what the play-by-play was all about. Could you explain it to me?
The bases?
Uncle Brent?
Yeah, okay.
Can you tell me what the baseball play-by-play was all about? Was that the 78 World Series or the 77 World Series coming on while they were... I'll stop.
Good. Thank you.
You know what? Well, then before we get into it, though, I will say I don't think I ever knew too much about what it was about. I was just singing the words, just
really?
like when I knew the song. I don't know. Part of me wasn't really recognizing the explicitity,
Keep going.
the sexual nature.
There you go.
of the song. Yeah.
Unless you were familiar with the metaphor of going to, the bases, like third base,
right,
second base, first, all that stuff. So when they added that in, I did know as a teenager, but I thought it was kind of a clever way to do it. And the guy who does it, I think this is Phil Rizzuto, is a guy who played for the Yankees in Major League Baseball for real for like 13 years. And then he was the Yankees announcer. And apparently he did not know when they used him to do this. He didn't know what the purpose of it was. So, kind of ironic that you said that because he's doing this thing and he wasn't really in on the joke that it was a sexual metaphor until later.
That's funny.
Yeah. And he found out later, and I don't think he was very happy about it.
I was going to say, I was just asking for Rizzy.
Rizzy.
Rizzy? Just asking for Philly Rizzy, That's all.
Fizzy.
Just had to send him a message after this, let him know what it was all about.
I don't think Fizzy is still alive.
Oh.
Fizzy played for the Yankees in like 1943, I believe.
Okay. He's probably not. He's probably long gone. But it's that next part where it's like the back and forth, between the woman and the man. And there's actually a great live performance of Meatloaf singing this. And when you see them on stage, that's a whole other experience performing these songs. Not that I ever did, obviously wasn't around, but when you see videos of it, it's a whole other thing.
Did you?
And
did you know that Meatloaf made out with that girl? That wasn't really Ellen Foley. Ellen Foley sings on the record.
She sang it.
But then there was another woman who was not Ellen Foley who, because Foley couldn't tour, but this other woman was her stand-in, and she actually lip synced. She didn't sing the part. She synced Foley's vocal. But Meatloaf,
live or just in the? I thought it was just in the music video.
No, I think it was live. I think she sang to a tape. I'm pretty sure. And this is like back in the 70s. And they made out on the stage.
She said that
big
his
sweaty
Meatloaf. I think she said his tongue kept getting deeper every single time, with every performance.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh.
She also said, though, I can't remember her name either. I'm sorry.
It's Kate or something like that.
Kate.
It starts with a K.
And she also said, but we never had a intimate relationship, so it made things easier. I guess.
Big sweaty Meatloaf.
Okay, but what I was saying was during this part, because he's a really good actor too. The way he's looking at her when she brings him this proposition.
Yeah.
The look on his face is just it's hilarious. It's great. It's so well done. It's the whole other experience. But
yeah,
boy,
yeah,
what a way to resolve the song.
Yes. Oh, I know. Kind of really depressing, isn't it?
Incredibly depressing.
I can't wait until the end of time, so that I can not spend any more time with you.
I know. I swore I would love you to the end of time. Now I'm praying for the end of time.
See, very interesting though, right? Because you think, again, you go back to, relationships, and the guy is like, trying to like, have his way with this girl, and she says, hang on, are we going to get married? Are we going to be in love for the rest of our lives? And he's like, oh man, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a time-honored thing. It's terrible, but it's happened a lot over the course of history where, in the back of the car, promises are made and not necessarily kept. Okay, so last song, for crying out loud, Clunker.
Yeah, this is the clunker.
Awful.
There's really, I listened to this actually probably 3 or 4 times in a row. To try and understand it, and I couldn't.
I know
I couldn't get on board.
There's nothing to it. There's no nice changes. There's no nice arrangements. This is nothing. It's just dead.
No,
it's a dead song.
And if there's any reason why it shouldn't be a clunker, or why it's not a dead song, or whatever it is we're missing, please let us know in the comments.
Yes,
please let us know.
Please do
in the chat right now. What are we missing? Because this is just. Ugh.
No, it's bad. And it features that lyric I was talking about earlier. The lyric is, can't you see my faded Levi's bursting apart?
Yes. Okay.
So that it's a love song, right? For crying out loud, I love you, or whatever it is. And then he's talking about his jeans because he has an erection or whatever, right? What? Like, why? Why?
I just thought it was because he was fat. Jeez. The erection didn't even play into my mind when I read that.
Because
he was fat, that's all. Am I wrong? Is it...
That's so terrible. Is it bad that we're like, look at my glasses are fogged up. Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't even see.
Thanks for glad.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Poor Meatloaf.
Oh God. Whoops.
Oh wow. That's what you thought because he was fat and his jeans were splitting.
Faded jeans splitting apart. I was like, oh, okay.
No, it's because he was it's because he was a savage.
See, you know what? All of a sudden, I love this song. You just saved it. Now that I know it's about a boner and not him being fat.
It's the riskiest lyric on the record, according to Jim Steinman.
Right.
Oh my God.
If it wasn't for crying out loud, this would be a no-brainer 5 out of 5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I guess 4.5. I guess I could do the decimals points. I could do 4.8, but let's keep it easy.
4.5.
Go 4.5.
Yeah, well, that's good. And you know what? I see this album a little bit differently now. As a result of you saying that about the theatricality of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
good. Look at that.
Win-win.
Right on, man. Cool. It's fun. I'll put these tunes on again.
Well,
the kids had fun time listening to them. So
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So it's like anytime you need to just like dance in the kitchen, you just put on. I mean, not for crying out loud, but you put on anything else. That's good.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Poor fat Meatloaf.
Oh, I can't breathe. This is terrible. I can't believe you thought that.
Busted.
Oh my god, I could have a stroke.
Please don't. Well,
Okay,
please
end the show, man. Stop. We have to stop now. Oh my god.
Okay.
All right. Oh, you need a new record.
Wait.
All right, I'm gonna give you the record,
Just
and then I have to go.
it's late. Pull together.
Oh my god.
Okay. Sorry. So, yeah, what do you got? What's next?
How about Billy Squire? Don't say no.
Okay. What do I know from Billy Squire? What might I know?
The Stroke.
I know the name.
I think the Stroke's on this record.
Stroke. Okay. The Stroke. Stroke.
Yes.
Stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? That the one?
Yep.
Okay. I know that tune. That's it.
There's others. You'll know. I don't want to go through them. There's four songs.
No.
4 songs in this record. You probably know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy Squire, what was the album called?
Don't Say No.
Don't Say No. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man.
All right. You gotta go. I gotta go,
Get
man.
out of here. You gotta bust out of here like a pair of faded jeans. Yeah.
Stop.
Let's do it. Sorry.